Listen to this podcast now on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Why is the middle class shrinking? Why are people facing an affordability crisis while marginalized individuals called informals grow in numbers? Join me as I travel the world, speaking with people living in invisibility, the leaders working to solve it, and uncovering the hard truths shaping our economy and daily reality.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform. Feisty, fearless, and fair. She's an Emmy-winning journalist from the White House to war zones, telling all sides of the story. This is the Rita Cosby Show.
I know your name is Rita, because your perfume is smelling sweet. Since when I saw you down on the floor. Guitar,
And tonight, President Trump holds a rally in Florida. It's the first time he has done a public rally after the shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And boy, did he get a rousing applause from the audience. It's a retirement community. They love him. It's a very patriotic group. And he was widely received as he talked about the economy and a whole bunch of different things, saying, look, I'm talking about retirement accounts. I'm talking about no tax on tips for your future generations. I will bring gas prices down as soon as this war with Iran is over. And a lot of people are wondering, what does he need to do next? Do you agree with the variety of a couple generals that are out there that are saying, finish the job, President Trump, finish the job? They are saying that the squeeze play on the Strait of Hormuz, blocking, of course, ships coming to and from Iranian ports, is a good thing, but they believe that he also needs to do the military part of it, too, that you can't just do that alone. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And you are listening to The Rita Cosby Show. Let's go to Stu in Brooklyn on line 1. Stu, your thoughts tonight.
Hey, Rita, how are you? Rita, let me start with the quote. Revolutions are impossible until they're inevitable. Leon Trotsky said that. Then you had Jack Kennedy, who said that when peaceful change becomes impossible, violent change is inevitable. What Donald Trump is doing is creating the conditions in Iran that make the situation there so impossible that inevitably they will get rid of the bad guys and take their country back. And when 90 million people are back in charge and you have normalcy, all this crap about the maniac in Maine and all these idiotic democratic statements are basically, worth nothing. The main event is what's happening in Iran with the population, and Donald Trump very cleverly taking steps to bring about the change that has to happen. And by the way, one of the smart things about it I like is because he's denied POL to the military forces in Iran, the armor and all the vehicles that the military could bring to bear in the streets to mow down the population are sitting in their parking lots because they ain't got any fuel to run them.
Yeah. By the way, Stu, that's a great point. No one's really talked about that. You're right that they're getting squeezed so much that they can't really move anybody. They can't move anything. They can't move tanks or whatever else they'd like to use. Right now, Stu, how long do you think it's going to take, though, for it to maybe implode from within? Because I agree that would be the best case scenario.
It has to happen. The question is whether it's Mossad or CIA or Delta or Moscow, whoever is on the ground moving things along will make the difference in the timing. On the other hand, not for nothing do we have the Rakisans, the airborne, over there to jump in if it's necessary to help the people on the ground put the guns to use and go after the military and take them out. And with another thing, and it's not a quote, but a famous novel. It was called For Whom the Bell Tolls, Ernest Hemingway. For Whom the Bell Tolls, the title is really the epigram that starts the novel. And the answer to Whom the Bell Tolls is, it tolls to thee. It's a reminder that we are all part of humanity, and everybody has skin in the game and can't turn away when 30, 40,000 people are murdered and look the other way. That's a cancer. If you ignore it, it'll kill you. So I think that what has to be done over there is going to take time.
Yeah, I agree. And Stu, you hit a very powerful point too, that we all have to care about what's happened there. And that's why when I see a number of Democrats and others saying, oh, they're not a threat to us, I feel like saying, hey, are you kidding me? You can't have a terrorist regime there in the Middle East that's attacking its neighbors, that's attacking Israel at every turn, that's shouting death to America on the streets. And you can't have a nuclear-armed Iran. They're on the precipice of it. We certainly cannot allow that to happen. I mean, there is just no way, no how. And that's just way too risky for the world. As you said, we are all connected 100%. Stu, thank you very much. Great points. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Meantime, on the streets of New York and elsewhere across this country, these May Day protests taking place. I mean, many of them are teachers' unions and teachers' groups sponsoring this, saying kids shouldn't go to class, you shouldn't buy anything, you should go to the streets. Students, don't worry about your dwindling grades in reading and math. Come on out and protest. A lot of them, I couldn't believe this. I was watching a lot of them that were actually interviewed, and they were like, do you know what socialism is? I don't know. I mean, come on. When you hear that, it's like, it's so dismal. They don't know what they're protesting. They're just getting out there on the streets. And yet the Democrats love it. It's all anti-Trump. It's anti-this. It's anti-that. To me, this is just indicative of where things are headed. And I think, sadly, that we're headed for a really bumpy summer, you guys. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. And you are listening to The Rita Cosby Show. Here are some of the protesters there. This is the May Day protest. Some of them dressed like clowns, and they acted like clowns in front of the New York Stock Exchange. Take a listen. And other protests taking place even recently, too. Foul-mouthed protesters harassing diners at a Jewish restaurant in downtown Manhattan. This happened recently. Unbelievable. Calling them pedophiles, yelling, "Bomb Israel." Listen to this. This is so horrible. It was outside a kosher restaurant in the Flatiron District, and a pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas group came by. Take a listen to that one.
Yo, no one's better than anyone. How can you not know about Palestine? She got more Botox in her face than Don Francisco. She look like Kirsty Noah. Bob in trouble, bye. Bob in trouble, bye. You pedophile. She got more Botox in her face than Kirsty Noah. Y'all live in a lot of privilege.
Does that sound like a peaceful protest? It doesn't to me. And one of the things they were shouting at was talking about Jeffrey Epstein. Now, get this. There is some new news tonight, and I want to get your reactions to this as well, too, you guys. It's a New York Times report. where they are pushing for the release of what they claim is an Epstein suicide note. Now, this apparently was found weeks before his death, but it's from his cellmate, who obviously was a criminal too, because he was with him there. And he says he found it a month before Epstein's death. I don't know if I don't believe any of this, but it's an interesting revelation, and the New York Times is talking about it today. Here's a report. This is from ABC News, ABC Television News, talking about this purported Epstein suicide note. Remember, Jeffrey Epstein ended up dead in his cell. I don't buy that it was suicide just by the way he died. Even Michael Baden, the noted forensic pathologist, said, the way that the bones were broken and these other things, it doesn't look like a suicide, like suicide by hanging. He believes that it was something else, too, that it's just highly unusual for the bones, these particular ones, to break in your neck. It looks more like a strangulation than a suicide. And there's a lot of people, I think, who'd want to get rid of Jeffrey Epstein. But here is an ABC News report.
This morning, a federal judge in New York is being asked to unseal a purported suicide note by Jeffrey Epstein. His former cellmate told the New York Times he discovered the note tucked into a book after Epstein's first attempt at suicide in July 2019, when jail guards said they found Epstein with a homemade fashion noose around his neck. His cellmate, convicted quadruple murderer Nicholas Tartaglione, said he found a note from Epstein on paper from a yellow legal pad that read in part, "Time to say goodbye." Federal prosecutors in New York said they did not know of such a note, but it appears to be referenced in a 2-page timeline contained in the Epstein files that said sometime between July 23rd and July 27th, NT found the note and claimed Tartaglione's lawyer authenticated the note for legal purposes in January 2020, but didn't say how. The lawyer declined to comment to ABC News because the record is sealed. Epstein told a jail psychologist, "I have no interest in killing myself," and he said he lives to have fun, to enjoy life, and to learn. Weeks later, he died by suicide in his cell.
Aaron Katursky, ABC News, New York.
So do you buy that there was an actual suicide note left by Jeffrey Epstein? I don't buy it. I just think there's way too much evidence, guys, that shows, I think, that somebody took his own life. And if there is, why are we just hearing about it now? That's the other thing. Why are we hearing about it at this moment? What took so long? 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And you are listening to The Rita Cosby Show. Let's go to Mike in Pennsylvania on line 2. Go ahead, Mike, your thoughts tonight.
Yes, my thoughts are this is just the Democrats pulling out all the stops to cause discord. And it's pretty bad that our schools aren't teaching the history of this nation. And it's just getting out of hand that these people would just buy all this and they'll do anything to cause problems. And I think we should not fool around with Iran, give them so much time. And if we have to go in there and do what we have to do to get this over with, because if we don't, I'm afraid we're going to lose the midterms because they're just going to do whatever they can to win any way they can. And as far as Epstein goes, I believe that anybody that's connected with the Clintons all comes to a bad end.
Well, you know what? It certainly is fishy on the Epstein stuff. And I hear what you're saying also on the whole thing with what happened with what's going on with Trump. Because I think Iran is just trying to buy time. I don't believe. In fact, there's a report tonight that says that they were trying to dig out some of these missiles and things that were buried, that they hid or that got buried potentially by bombs by the U.S. Remember when they struck those nuclear sites in the past, and obviously some of the other ones tied to missile sites recently. So they're just reconstituting, right, Mike? I mean, that's what they're doing. They're just taking advantage of this time. And they're just trying to get it configured and realign. And the other thing I also wonder, what's going on with like Russia and China? Because they found that dark ship that had, quote, some not good things from China that was coming to Iran. And you have to wonder what kind of nefarious, very dangerous, things were being transported by China. But I just feel like they're slipping things to them. They're trying to facilitate and do whatever they can with, air defense systems and other things. And the more time you give to Iran, the more time some of these bad actors can also slip in. So what do you think? Do you think that some of them are trying to take advantage of this situation and sow discord in America?
Oh, sure they are. I mean, you got China, you got what's going on in Ukraine and everything else. I mean, these people, and look what happened with the COVID and all. What a joke that is. I mean, they shut us down. They said it's only going to be a couple of weeks, and then everybody complied. That was a test to see how gullible the human people we would be. And I wouldn't get the shot because I know a friend of mine got the shot, was perfectly healthy, and he ended up with heart problems, and he ended up passing away in short order.
Wow. And a lot of people have had that. I mean, there's been a lot of questions about shots. And even, in fact, of late, we've heard the Pentagon obviously change the policy on these, vaccine mandates, whether it was COVID or whether it was also the flu shot. A whole bunch of stuff that a lot of people are wondering what's really in the system. And obviously the COVID thing. We still haven't no one's been held responsible, Mike. I mean, that's the other thing. Why has nobody been held responsible? Nobody even tied to the Wuhan lab that just happened to be down the street from a wet market. And I mean, the whole story just stinks. And no one has absolutely been held responsible. I saw there was some indictment tied to somebody close to Fauci. Maybe more documents will come out. Who knows? Why has Fauci not been hauled back in? He should be Exhibit A for questioning. 1-800-848-9222. And everybody will continue your calls right after the break here on The Rita Cosby Show.
You're listening to The Rita Cosby Show. This is The Rita Cosby Show.
And this is pretty shocking at some of these, quote, May Day protests. And there was one, of course, outside of the White House in Washington, D.C. There were a whole bunch of angry protesters flying the Islamic Republic of Iran flag, praising the Ayatollah. So they're out there saying no kings. They're out there saying, this is a workers' protest. And they're waving the flag of the Ayatollah and they're condemning Donald Trump. I mean, you can't make it up. Shouting vile things about Trump, shouting vile things about immigration and customs enforcement. And yet they're out there carrying the flag of the supreme dictator, the Islamic Republic of Iran, and chanting and shouting really horrible, vile things. Don't you think there's a little bit of crazy hypocrisy in that one? That is for sure. I mean, that is a stunning, stunning reflection. And as far as this guy, Graham Plattner, goes, the guy running in Maine for Senate, I guess as long as you bash Trump, I guess Democrats can forgive a Nazi tattoo. That says it all.
Let Century Management Solutions get you to your next medical appointment. They specialize in non-emergency medical transportation, connecting patients to care, safety, reliability, and on time. Their advanced technology platform seamlessly coordinates patients, healthcare providers, insurers, and transportation partners all in one powerful network. With over 200 trusted transportation providers, they deliver scalable solutions backed by real-time tracking and complete transparency. Go to SENTRYMS.com.
Pepsi Prebiotic Cola in original and cherry vanilla. That Pepsi taste you love with no artificial sweeteners and 3 grams of prebiotic fiber. Pepsi Prebiotic Cola. Unbelievably Pepsi.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistant's assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
So could things get down and dirty soon, potentially with the U.S. against Iran? You could tell President Trump is fed up. He says whatever they're offering me is not appropriate, and definitely that this is at a point right now where the regime doesn't seem to be acting in good faith. Whatever they're offering them is not sufficient. And they're also trying to bait President Trump. They're making all these comments about him. They're making comments about Pete Hegseth. It sounds like they are trying to bait him. That's definitely not the reason to go in. But maybe to finally put an end to this terrorist regime, that's a good way to go in. That's a good reason. And here is President Trump praising the blockade earlier, because the blockade is definitely squeezing the heck out of them. They're losing anywhere, they say. There are reports out there from $200 to $500 million a day. That's an enormous amount. They can't pay their IRGC. They can't pay the police. This is really a total squeeze play. And I say bravo to President Trump for doing this and the U.S. military. If this regime could collapse from within, that would be a great thing. Here's President Trump a little bit ago at the White House.
The blockade has been unbelievable. Powerful, 100%. It's been actually unbelievable. If we left right now, we had a great victory, but we're not doing that. We're negotiating with them. Their teams are unbelievably disjointed, but we are negotiating.
And President Trump also pulling out 5,000 troops, U.S. troops, out of Germany, saying he's fed up. And would you blame him? The chancellor just a little bit ago said that Iran is humiliating the United States. I mean, what a disgraceful comment to say, especially after everything that we've been doing with Iran and all this great, courageous work taking on this regime. And Germany hasn't done, what's the nice way to say it, bumkus? And they're not the only ones. What about Spain? What about Italy? What about some other countries? Well, Trump talked about that earlier today, too.
Well, I'm not happy with Italy, and I'm not happy with Spain. And they feel it's okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon. Anybody that feels it's okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon is not very smart. And it'll be a terrible thing in the future. If they were ever allowed to have a nuclear weapon, you would have problems the likes of which the world has never seen before, and it's not going to happen. And aside from that, right now they have no Navy. It's been wiped out. No Air Force. It's been wiped out. They have no anything. They have no anti-aircraft. They have no radar. They have no leaders because, frankly, their leaders are very disjointed. They have a lot of problems right now. They're not getting along with each other. Their leaders are not getting along with each other. So.
There's a lot of internal squabbling definitely going on right there. Also, General Jack Keane and a lot of military generals, a lot of great military experts. He is definitely one of the best, General Jack Keane, with the Institute for the Study of War. And he has come out and said that it's time to finish the job militarily, that there's about 20% of the targets that they didn't hit in the first round, and now is the time to go after them. That includes potentially maybe some power stations, dual use, certainly ones that the regime uses, bridges, things that they could be used to transport military hardware. But it's time to really try to cripple the leadership. Obviously, you don't want to punish the people, but if you can cripple the leadership, that's good news for the people because they're still executing people there in Iran. That's why I don't understand these crazy protesters that are out there outside the White House waving the Iranian Republic flag, which is the flag for the Ayatollah. How does that make any sense? They're out there saying no kings, and yet they're supporting a brutal regime that is executing its own people. These are monsters. So here is General Jack Keane on what needs to happen now militarily, and maybe it needs to happen soon.
They are steadfast in that, and they will certainly don't care about their people suffering. The people that think this is going to cause a collapse and they're going to make a deal, I think they're underestimating who these guys really are. So the reality is, then what else are our options? Well, I think option one is return and finish what we started. We spent 3 weeks here trying to work something out with these guys. We have assigned objectives to the CENTCOM, so does Israel. We're 2 weeks short of accomplishing that. Let's go finish that once and for all. Complete that mission that we've given to them. And we can go through a list of targets, but there's leadership targets out there, there's ballistic missiles out there, there's a remnants of the nuclear program that's out there, there's drone storage that's out there, and energy infrastructure, etc. There's plenty of targets that we have assigned that we want to finish, and we have twice the amount of combat power to do that from when we started.
That's right. There are now twice the amount of firepower. You got 3 carrier groups there in the Middle East. All President Trump has to do is say, okay, go, and it can be ready in a matter of minutes. Iran knows it, and they are trying to bait the U.S. right now. And listen, I applaud President Trump for having patience, getting all the assets in theater. You know he's talking privately with Israel, trying to figure out what their next move should be, what they can coordinate together. Israel says it's waiting for the go-ahead from the U.S. Clearly, the U.S. is leading the charge. And I say he's got to finish the job. Bottom line, he has to finish the job. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Teddy in Yonkers on line 2. Go ahead, Teddy. How you doing?
Okay, Rita. Rita, I agree with you so many things.
Thank you.
But I'm ambivalent. On the one hand, Rita, I hate the left. I don't like to use the word hate. I disagree with the far left. Okay? I wouldn't vote for any of them, the Bernie Sanders and the ilk. Okay,
what about, Teddy, what about Graham Plattner? How about that guy? That's horrible.
Oh, he's a fake phoney and a fraud.
Yeah, but he's going to be their nominee, it looks like. How sad is that, Teddy?
Well, I don't know what else can I do except to speak out and let the public hear my voice, and maybe I can change people's attitudes and opinions. I don't know where their common sense is, where their brain is. But, Rita, on the other hand, you got the far right. You got not as many, but they're there, Rita. And that's what's killing me also.
And Teddy, I don't agree with sort of extremes on either side. I mean, when I've heard some of these folks on the far right talk about, positions that I think are isolationist, or condemning Israel, it's much less, by the way, than you see on the quote far left, if you will. The far left seems to be rapidly embracing Democratic Socialist of America. And if you look at their policy, Teddy, I was shocked because, we've all learned a lot more about them in the last year or so. And their whole policy is anti-Israel. It's boycott, it's the BDS, boycott, divest, all of that stuff. Yeah. It's no products. It's no Israel. It's no money in pension funds. It's nothing tied to Israel. I mean, it's really shocking. It's disgusting.
And Rita,
so I'm condemning all sides that are radical extreme. I'm sponsoring common sense, Teddy.
Rita, look what's going on in England. I'm afraid it's reminiscent of the 30s in Nazi Germany. They're attacking Jews all over.
Yeah, how about the guy the other day? Teddy, it's really scary. But you know what it is also? It's bad leadership in England. And it really is. I think,
agree.
I mean, they should have cracked down on this from the beginning. They did not. And now there was that crazy guy. You might be referring to that horrible guy who had apparently a repeat offender with violence in his background. And he had anti-Semitic horrible, violent history, repeat offender. He was out on the streets and he randomly goes over and stabs 2 Jewish men on the streets of London the other day. I mean, to me, I saw it. It's absolutely horrific. And it's because they have not gotten control of their people. And you know what happened, Teddy? That's why Keir Starmer didn't want to help in this war. He was afraid of enraging his Muslim population because they're everywhere. Last time I went to London, and it's been a while, unfortunately, and when I went to London a couple of years ago, I couldn't believe it, Teddy. I thought I was in Islamabad.
Boy, oh boy, I don't know. I just hope the common sense can prevail and people of intellect can see what the heck is going on here and abroad. And I'm praying for Ukraine because I don't want people to forget about how Putin he's Hitler-esque, and no one's going to change my opinion about that.
I agree. And Teddy, I agree. I agree on that one 100%. I've always been a big supporter of us protecting Ukraine and kicking Putin's butt. And so you're right. We cannot lose sight of it, and we can't take it off the radar. The one thing that's been really interesting with all of this stuff, I don't know if you've heard of late, but Ukraine's been actually helping the U.S. a bit with this because they've been dealing with some of these drone warfare, which has been a big thing for the Iranians. And the Russians and Iranians are working together. So Ukraine has been providing some intel, very pivotal on how to combat some of these drones, these warfare drones. So maybe that's a good thing and will strengthen our relationship even more with Ukraine. But you're right. We cannot forget about those people. And we got to stand up. Good people need to stand up, whatever side of the aisle they're on, Teddy. Yeah. We got to stand up.
Good talking to you. Thank you very much.
You too, my friend. Have a good weekend. It's great to hear from you, Teddy. Thank you. Let's go, you guys, to Gail in Pennsylvania, line 1. Go ahead, Gail.
Hi, Rita. I just read that the Shah now has changed his feeling about how to approach Iran, and he thinks that, I guess it's on the way General Keane was saying, strategically, like we're going to get this bridge and then we're going to get this other bridge and kind of wear them down. And I had seen him speak at CPAC this past year.
Oh, wow. Were you there? Did you go to that?
In Dallas, yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yep.
And it was like historic. It was totally jammed with Iranian Americans cheering Trump, cheering the Shah, and he spoke. And he really, really wants to preserve the infrastructure for the people. He really feels when the time is right, everybody will rise up. I mean, they were so enthusiastic. But now I read that he is kind of espousing the line that they have to be pressured more. Don't destroy everything. Just do like one thing at a time kind of deal strategically.
I think he's right. Don't you, Gail? Because, and you know what, by the way, I watched his speech, which was I was not there at CPAC, but I watched his speech, Gail, and it was so powerful. It was make Iran great again was his message, as you know. Yes. And boy, did he get a great reception. And his message, it is interesting because I think he's probably frustrated that so far it's sort of in a holding pattern, if you will. And it can't stay in a holding pattern forever because you don't want them to be able to reconstitute. And you have to set the stage for these mullahs to really be decapitated. And I say that in every sense of the word. Like a normal regime, I think would have already said, we surrender. But because these people are so fanatical, I always said, and I told you guys from the beginning, there were some people who were thinking, oh, it's only going to be a few weeks. And I was like, no. These people are zealots. And when you're dealing with zealots, it's the same thing as those, Japanese kamikaze guys flying into Pearl Harbor, willing to die for a cause. And these people were crazy. And I said, because of that, it's going to take a little more pummeling. And these people need to feel pain like there is no tomorrow. Because these people, what kind of a human being would kill your own people? These people do it.
Right.
So, there are no barriers. So you gotta really do some extra pounding. And obviously, you got to do it. Be careful because you don't want to have mass casualties of civilian casualties. And Trump is absolutely trying to avoid that. You can tell. But and I give him so much credit for patience. I give him credit for courage, and now I give him credit for patience. But I also give him credit for making the tough decision that no other president in American history had the cojones to do, Gail.
I agree with that. I really do. And people that say, oh, they really wouldn't use a nuclear missile and they wouldn't lob it at New York or D.C., I think they're crazy. I mean, they've been killing people for 50 years, Americans and others. And I believe them when they say, the big Satan, death to America, death to Israel, death to Western civilization, as they send, by the way, their close relatives here living large.
Yeah, that's a good point. Remember, right, the relatives were hanging out, especially the young gals in L.A., all dressed up without a burqa, wearing little sexy poses and skimpy outfits. Oh, that was okay. And then how about, remember there was the other one who was the teacher, which is scary too, who like a teacher teaching American students, and one of them was like a relative of Soleimani. Remember that?
Yep. They're here living lavishly. So when people say, oh, they're 12ers and they want this death, they want death, and I think that is, when I see these close relatives living lavishly, I don't think that they're so into the death cult as we've heard.
Yeah, well, I think you're right. Let's hope you're right. Let's hope you're right. Let's hope that that they have a pain factor where they're willing to, they'll submit and cave when they see that the end is near. And let's hope that comes very, very soon. Gail, thank you very much. Have a great weekend. And everybody, we're going to continue with your calls after the break. 1-800-848-9222. But first, support our heroes.
The Rita Cosby Show presents Support Our Heroes.
And this is the Tunnel to Towers Foundation Support Our Heroes segment with a very powerful story from Gardner, Massachusetts, where Navy veteran Forrest Johnson, who is 93 years old, who served during the Korean War, was just presented with a special citation from the Executive Office of Veterans Services during a very special ceremony. And just to give you a little background about him, during his service aboard the USS Columbus in the Korean War, Johnson was involved in Exercise Mainbrace, which is a NATO maritime operation in 1952. It was aimed at testing the coordination abilities of several nations' naval forces in the North Atlantic. And Johnson even received the National Defense Service Medal for his great service. Bravo to him. And by the way, when he spoke, he said most veterans in their hearts want to serve their country. As I tell people today, if I was younger and there was a war that was threatening the United States, I would join the service today to serve my country. Wow. What a beautiful thing from 93 years old, Korean War veteran, Forrest Johnson. Really beautiful to hear that. And everybody, help America to never, ever forget. Always remember our great military, first responder heroes, and also their great families. All you have to do to make an incredible difference is go to the great Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Donate just $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers Foundation at T2T.org. That's T, the number 2, T.org.
You're listening to The Rita Cosby Show.
Well, this could be a busy weekend in the war against Iran. A lot of people wondering, could Trump even take some action this weekend? He very well could. He's got all the military assets in theater, and you could tell he is running out of patience. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Sal in New Jersey, line 5. Go ahead, Sal.
Hello, Rita. Rita, when the Democrats call Donald Trump a Nazi, they don't look in the mirror. They're the Nazis. Because what did the Nazis do? They shouted people down. They persecuted people. They alienated people. They mistreated people. They took away people's rights, and that's exactly what the Democrats are doing.
Yeah, by the way, Sal, that's a very, very good point. They are shouting them down, and guess what? They got a guy with a Nazi tattoo who's running as the Democratic nominee, it looks like, for Senate in Maine. That says it all. Let's go real quick to Eduardo in Tampa, line 3. Go ahead, Eduardo.
Yeah, good evening, Rita. Yeah, the Supreme Court ruling kind of like put a shadow on the May Day protests, which are no more than May Day protests. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. And for them to be out there, at some of these cities where like reading and math scores are so down, and they're saying, we're going to take the kids out so they can bash Trump, so they can bash ICE. Also, who's paying for these protests? There's a lot of big questions, guys. Have a great weekend.
In this 25th anniversary year of September 11th, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation continues to honor America's heroes. Heroes like Fire Lieutenant Michael Wells, who was inspired by 9/11 to serve his community. After 14 dedicated years of service, he lost his battle with occupational cancer, leaving behind his wife, Katie, and their 3 children. Tunnel to Towers honored Lieutenant Wells by paying off the family's mortgage in recognition of his sacrifices. Donate $11 monthly and amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to T2T.org.